Alright, so we're gonna play some blues scales. So we got, it's like a C minor with a flat 7, flat 5, 4, flat 3, and the 1. You can play other notes, like the 2. But we'll just play around a little bit and do like a 1 minor to a 4 minor, and then sometimes we'll go to a 5 minor. I guess I did a G7 chord there, which is okay sometimes. You can come back to that 1 minor. So you can choose whether you want to do a G minor. You could even start with a G minor and then transition to a G7. Give a little bit more tension. Go back to that 1. So another thing is, what happens on the transitions? So we go from a C to an F, C minor to an F minor. At that junction, where do we want to be? Well, actually, you can be anywhere, and I suggest experimenting with what it sounds like. So let's say we pick the G. Now, when we're in the key of C minor, the G is the 5. And when we go to the key of F minor, the G is 2, or we call it a 9 since it's an octave higher than a lot of the other notes. So we could experiment with what it sounds like to keep that G as the melody note while changing keys from the 1, the C minor, to the F minor, which is the 4 minor. Certain feeling, and no one can teach it to you. You have to mess around. So pick another note. Let's pick the C. chord and an F minor chord. The G was in the C minor chord, but not in the F minor chord, although it still works. But when we play the C, now what happens when we switch to a G chord? Can we keep that C? Sure. So we can keep that C as the melody note. And when you're playing, ultimately, you won't always keep the same note, but it's a good exercise to feel the different emotional consequence of a melody note in relation to its chord that it's playing over. So when you're playing a C minor chord, that C is as safe as you can be. It's the one, it's the root. When you switch to an F minor chord, it's not the root, but it is the fifth, which is like the second safest you can be. An F would be really safe with an F chord. And when I go to a G minor, if I hold that F, does it work? Well, yeah, sure it does. You can hear it works, first of all. But if you think about what a G minor chord has, it has an F in it, if you include the 7. Now what happens if we play a E flat? It goes with the C minor, because it's in the C minor chord. Now does it go with the F minor? Sure does. Now what is it in F minor? It's the flat 7. So it's like an F minor 7 chord, which is a very common chord, and usually, safe, not too spicy, not too much chance of clashing. So that E flat as the melody note is great in that transition. What happens when we switch to a G minor? You can make it work, but there's a tension that, because a D is already in a G minor. So you might consider going from that F minor to a G minor and changing the melody note from an E flat to a D. Then you can change it back when you go back to the 1 chord. Notes are actually pretty, they have a place, but some of them you might want to pass by really quickly. They might not really go, like a B.